Welcome back. Along with the COVID-19 pandemic, unfortunately, so many people are feeling the financial strain, especially after about 2 months of the stay at home order and, of course, self isolation. The question now is, should you file for bankruptcy? Well, luckily, joining me this morning is an expert. Please welcome bankruptcy attorney Edwin Shorty Jr. He has been practicing consumer cases in New Orleans for 15 years. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Really important topic. We see it all over the news, when we read it on social media. I want to start with plain and simple. What does it mean when we file for bankruptcy?
What it means, it depends on the reason that you filed. It may mean different things for different people. Some people file to save a house. Some people file to save a car. Some people file to stop a garnishment. So the long short of it is the federal answer to stop any collection action, whether that be a garnishment or a foreclosure. And that's the way you can force those types of actions to stop.
Very interesting. And it seems like obviously a lot of people are thinking bankruptcy in businesses because they're closed right now. But obviously, regular people can go through bankruptcy as well.
Oh, definitely. And I think aside from the businesses, you've got individuals who've lost their jobs, who've fallen behind on mortgage payments, who may have fallen behind on car notes. And those individuals can obviously go to the bankruptcy court to seek relief. It's not just something that businesses can take advantage of. It's something that individuals use often. And that's primarily where my practice focuses on, not doing bankruptcies for businesses, but doing them for individuals.
Which is great because individuals are seeing that as well. Now, Edwin, looking at the jargon for bankruptcy can be a little bit confusing. There's really different types. Tell me the difference between a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is one I've heard a lot about.
The easiest way to say it is the Chapter 13 is a payment plan. I
Mhm.
take your debts and we consolidate your debts and you pay back a percentage of what you owe to your creditors over some period of time that doesn't exceed 60 years or 60 months or 5 years. The Chapter 7 is a liquidation. It's not a payment plan. It's basically saying, look, I don't have any assets. The few assets I have, I'm going to keep and continue to pay for them. There's no equity in those assets. And I just want to wipe away mainly credit card debt or unsecured debt. Those items that are secured debt you keep if you want to keep the thing. Most of the times people say, look, I want to get rid of this debt. If you want to keep your car, you keep your car, but you continue to pay the car note. So the 7 is not a payment plan. The 13 is a payment plan.
And how do we know which one works best for me or my business?
The only way to figure that out is to talk to a bankruptcy attorney and get a free consultation. Uh,
Okay.
and then you're going to decide. Everything doesn't work for everybody. Some people make too much money to file a Chapter 7 because there's a financial test. And the test kind of runs based on the number of dependents that you have in your house. So let's say you've got one child and you're a single individual. You may not be able to file bankruptcy if you make over $50,000 a year. You may not be able to file a Chapter 7. We may force you into a Chapter 13. Um, an individual who's fallen behind on their mortgage and needs some time to get caught up on their mortgage, we're going to put them in a 13 that allows them to not go through foreclosure and that allows them time to get caught up.
So it really just depends on what works best for you. Again, if you're a homeowner, maybe it is filing for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, or maybe just getting a modification on your mortgage.
Correct. Correct. And I will tell you, I'm glad you brought that up with a modification. I always think that a modification is a better way to go than bankruptcy if you can get a modification, depending on what modification they offer you. I like the idea of somebody getting a modification and they're going to lower interest. But if you've been
Mhm.
in your house for 10 years on a 30-year mortgage and they're going to redo your note and you're going to extend out for another 10 years,
Mhm.
conceptually, you'll be paying for your house for 40 years.
Mm.
A bankruptcy allows you to continue along the terms that you've got and say, well, look, I'm going to start paying my house note again. I'm going to pay extra per month to get caught up, and it doesn't extend the term. So sometimes a modification is better. Sometimes the bankruptcy is better. It depends on the individual circumstance.
And I know for a lot of people, they're saying, oh, I can avoid bankruptcy by going to a credit cleaning service. Do they really work?
My experience has been I'll give a caveat on this. What I hear is anecdotal evidence from clients who end up coming to me for a bankruptcy, that those agencies don't necessarily work. What it seems to me that they are doing is the Fair Credit Reporting Act allows you to challenge items on your credit report. And
Mhm.
if the individual who extended you credit doesn't reply in a certain number of days, the item gets removed from your credit report. So it's usually a short-term fix where somebody wants to buy something, they challenge a bunch of things on their credit report. Some of those things come off, but those things can come back on. So it's not a permanent fix. I find that a lot of times people are saying, well, look, maybe I want to try and buy a house. I want to try and get a lower interest rate on a car. Let me complain about these few things right quick, try and get them knocked off. But what happens when those things come back on later? So
Mm.
they don't usually work.
It really is definitely a conversation that you need to have with people, especially going through some difficult times. Edwin, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Very smart man. And if you want to learn more about the services he offers, please contact the law offices of Edwin M. Shorty Jr. and Associates. All you have to do is log on to eshortylawoffice.com or call 504 207 1370.